Story 1. Flip-flops dragging across pavement, worn by someone who cannot be bothered to lift their feet while walking. Story 2. When people are making repetitive noises like kicking a chair or drumming on the table, please stop. Story 3. The Samsung washing machine jingle at the end of a load goes on for way too long, an awkward length of time. It makes me angry. Story 4. Any sound when I am on my period or when I am sick, grouchy, or tired. If it is too loud, I start overreacting. Edit. People talking when I am still half asleep. Story 5. Super loud revving cars. Nothing is worse than lying in bed and hearing a car with a giant muffler screeching by. Story 6. My cat is slapping the litter box at 4 a.m. Instead of covering his waist, he exits the litter box and slaps the outside, as if saying, "You can fit so much inside one of these." Story 7. Chewing. Just chewing. Especially the loud, wet kind where someone's mouth is wide open, like they are auditioning to be a human cement mixer. It is a perfectly normal sound, but every time I hear it, my soul leaves my body for a moment. Also, people dragging their feet when they walk. Pick up your feet, we are not zombies yet. Story 8. Anything loud and sharp, like high-pitched screaming, barks, grass breaking, or sirens, makes me instantly angry and want to cringe into a ball. One of the worst sounds is the high-pitched scream kids can do before their voices change. One time, a 10-year-old was doing it in public, and I wanted to kick him away. Clearly, I just gritted my teeth and walked away, but that is the worst sound ever. Story 9. People banging loudly on the door, knocking like a madman. I have a childhood memory of my father doing that often just to torment me, so it definitely has something to do with it. Story 10. When someone drags the chairs at the public pool instead of picking them up to move them, it is a horrific sound. Story 11. People talking loudly on their phones or playing videos, women trying to be cute by talking in a baby voice, anyone who shouts just to make their point in conversations, people who laugh loudly just to get attention from everyone around them. Story 12. The sound of people chewing with their mouth open is like nails on a chalkboard, but worse because it is happening right next to me at dinner. Story 13. Things like a fan with a broken bearing, water rushing through a pipe with too much air in it, a mosquito buzzing in the next room, people stomping downstairs, the sharp screeching sound kids make, or bass thumping through the floor or walls. The list goes on, but I think I've made my point. Ignoring these sounds is nearly impossible. My brain doesn't block out sounds. If something is making noise and it's not covered up by something louder, I'll hear it. Once I hear it, my brain latches on. It gets worse when it starts annoying me because I become more aware of every tiny sound around me. It's a pain, and not much I can do except constantly wear headphones. Story 14. At work, we have a washing machine that connects to the living room where patients are. Then why don't you close the door to muffle the noise? Story 15. It sounds silly, but when it is quiet, I hear someone constantly moving the position of their head because their hair is rubbing on either a headrest or a jumper. Story 16. People playing on their phones in public without headphones. Story 17. Motorcycles. The obnoxiously loud Harley-Davidson sound that drowns out every other existing sound on the planet, including my internal dialogue. Story 18. I am in perimenopause, and I can honestly say I am sensitive to all noise now. I never used to be, but now anything piercing I can feel through my bones, and it makes me feel like my head will explode. Story 19. When someone is at the bathroom or kitchen sink and they turn the faucet on all the way and leave it running the entire time they stand there, even though it is not necessary, that sound is driving me crazy. Story 20. Cars revving really loud, especially when done purely to show off. All that noise is just for, most of the time, some lousy, unwashed car to come rumbling and burping up the road. Always in the most horrendous color. Story 21. The sounds of someone scrolling on Instagram Reels or TikTok. Just one terrible audio after another, usually at full volume. Story 22. Lots of people eat with their mouths open, habitually cough or clear their throats, and blow their noses. Nail biting, loud breathing, and dragging of feet are also common behaviors. Story 23. Exhaling loudly during yoga class. It is possible to breathe out without sounding like a steam engine. Story 24. Someone's loud phone conversation on public transportation, especially when using speakerphone, causes instant fury. Story 25. Where do I start? I have mild misophonia, so any of the following bother me. Eating or chewing noises. Cats do not count. That is cute when they do it. Repetitive noises, not music I am listening to. Bass noise from a neighbor's music. Constant dog barking. Any unidentified noise in my house that gets my attention but I cannot find. Vocal fry. People who constantly crack their knuckles. Certain accents. I do not want to be specific, as it may seem xenophobic. Yes, I live alone. No, I do not complain about most of the noises to others. Story 26. The squeak and feel of packed polystyrene foam, like a cooler or something. I hate touching it and hearing that noise. Story 27. Chewing, just stop. Get away from me. I don't even know why, but it makes me want to slam someone's face into something hard. I just get so angry. It is such a normal sound to make. Story 28. People who deliberately blow their nose into their hands to clean them, and then wipe their hands on their pants are very frustrating to see. Story 29. Texting with keyboard clicks on. Using speakerphone in public. People who talk in movie theaters. People who bite into their fork or spoon. Loud chewers in general. People who snore in movie theaters. People who do not silence their phone ringers in common places. Story 30. The sound of Facebook video call request. It is always from the mother-in-law who has absolutely zero boundaries and respect for others. She calls you and then immediately switches to video, and you get a full speaker blast to your ear. Story 31. Dogs licking themselves. The sound wakes me from sleep, and I yell into the void. No licking sounds. Story 32. Motorbikes. Hate them. I wish I could ban them. The sound is like a broom on concrete. It makes me want to scream. People tapping on things for no reason. Children. Story 33. I cannot stand the sound of people brushing their teeth. In fact, I tend to brush my own teeth while in the shower as much as possible to avoid hearing the sound. Story 34. The sound of someone breathing through mucus because they are too lazy to blow their nose, especially if they are an adult. Story 35. This is very trivial, but I dislike stock sounds used in movies and television. There are sounds I have been hearing, such as children laughing, babies crying, or crowds cheering. You probably know exactly which ones I am referring to. These sounds instantly break the fourth wall and ruin the experience for me because I have been hearing the same sound effects for decades. It is jarring because my brain picks them up so quickly. It is very obvious they are just added sounds. Is it really that difficult to update sound effects and retire some from time to time? Story 36. Men with very deep voices. I do not know how to describe it, but when men with super deep voices talk, it somehow makes me physically irritated. I am not a man hater. The sound is just physically and mentally disturbing to me. Story 37. People talking softly. I absolutely cannot stand it. I used to work with a woman who basically whispered, and it made my skin crawl. Those autonomous sensory meridian response videos are literally disgusting to me and make me angry if I try to listen to them. Mouth noises and lip smacking are also really awful. Story 38. A large number of glass bottles are being dumped into a recycling bin, similar to when the truck picks them up from the curb. Story 39. Next door's children are running up and down the stairs. I can handle them playing noisily in the garden, but the diving boots they wear to climb the stairs make a noise like someone flapping my eardrums. The children are tiny, preteen, skinny pipsqueaks but make louder thuds than their parents. Story 40. The sound of someone chewing. Mouth noises in general, including whistling. The continuous tick-tick of the pen. A person who taps their feet on the ground when sitting. Story 41. Beeps like a microwave, smoke detector, seatbelt alert, and recently we got a hand-me-down refrigerator that beeps hysterically if the temperature inside rises. During a power outage, the refrigerator gets warm, and when power comes back on, it beeps loudly. Why? I know the power was out. The lights and Wi-Fi being off already let me know, and I cannot help you cool down. That's your responsibility. So why is the refrigerator yelling at me? What possible reason is there for making a refrigerator scream at the end of every power outage? The loud microwaves are also annoying. Why did they decide it needs to be as aggressive as a fire alarm? Nobody is dying if I forget the coffee I was reheating. Honestly, one quiet beep is unnecessary. Never mind 5 loud ones. Story 42. Cable news. Years of my parents watching that nonsense continuously have eroded my brain to the point where I don't even want to associate with liberalism. Sure, I hold left-wing views, but I would rather die than be stuck in the same party as Ari Melber. Story 43. Mr. Brightside by the Killers. I've been out of my cage, and now I'm falling apart. Jealousy. Blah, blah, blah. Patisri. Story 44. I don't know what it is called, but the material car seats are made of sounds so irrationally irritating. I don't know why, but I have always hated it since I was a child. Story 45. Opening a beer can. I don't know why, but it is annoying to me. Maybe because my parents drank beer every night. Story 46. Sucking teeth after eating, like the loud sound, is something some people do repeatedly, and it drives me truly insane. Story 47. Someone smacking their lips. I have a client. I work with individuals with intellectual disabilities, and she smacks her lips every 10 seconds. It makes me long for my coffin. Story 48. Chewing can be very irritating, especially if it's someone you're playing video games with. The sloppy sucking sounds cause instant anger. However, I try not to lose my temper too quickly. Story 49. Today I learned if I am doing anything other than being completely silent at an expert level, I am probably upsetting someone. Story 50. I have tinnitus. If anything hits the same pitch and stays at that pitch, it makes it 1,000 times worse. It is like a train wheel squealing and almost vertigo-inducing. A quick burst I can deal with. Anything longer and I become very aggressive to stop it. Story 51. Girls laughing about their day at work, especially if it is a close-knit group. They share a lot of gossip. Story 52. Right now my downstairs neighbor has a professional gardener over to tidy up her garden. Having a tradesperson in comes with a certain amount of noise. I understand that. However, to get from the street to the garden, he has to go through her apartment, and this person has made it his personal mission to slam every door he goes through. He will get a tool from his van, close the van door with a loud slam, go through the front door with a slam, go through the hallway door into the living room with a slam, and through the back door into the garden with a slam. Then, if he forgets a tool, he goes back through the back door, hallway door, front door, van door, and back to the garden, slamming every door each time. This has been happening for 3 days straight now. Story 53. People stirring coffee incessantly and loudly like a bell chime, especially in a mug. Why? There is nothing left to mix after the first stir. I stir once, but after that, no more. Story 54. The song, All I Want for Christmas Is You, is so overused that when I go to a mall or store and hear it, I want to leave immediately. Story 55. The McDonald's fry machine noise. I work there for a summer, and I get flashbacks to 8-hour shifts with no air conditioning or breaks. Story 56. I had to take some difficult advanced chemistry courses, which is a subject I struggled with for my undergraduate studies. There was a student in one of the courses who always finished his exams quickly and constantly clicked his pen while reviewing his work every single exam. It made me so angry I couldn't think. Story 57. People who bite down on a fork when eating and make the worst sound of teeth scraping the fork. Story 58. The sound of the fire alarm chirping in the background while you are talking to your best friend. It has been beeping for so long they do not even notice it. I am like, change the battery. Story 59. Car alarms are one of the most useless inventions. Nobody ever says, oh my God, someone is trying to steal that car. Call the Marines. Instead, people are thinking of vandalizing the car. Story 60. That noise is unique in its delivery, and its awe-inspiring fury cannot be ignored when it happens when politicians speak. Story 61. Sometimes, in the summertime, I get frustrated by people mowing their lawns. It seems like every day of the week, somebody decides to cut the grass, and it disturbs the peace and quiet outdoors. I wish everybody could agree on one day of the week when nobody cuts grass, uses drills, or table saws outside. The grass cutting is never ending, and sometimes I feel like it ruins the summer. Story 62. When I see a video on YouTube that interests me, and as soon as I open it, I am blasted by a super loud, obnoxious American narrator. Instant close. I am sorry, but there are some very loud, very annoying voices. Very shouty country. Not all of you, of course. Story 63. Specific to Japan, political trucks drive through neighborhoods broadcasting greetings on loudspeakers. They typically only say greetings and do not provide any substantial information. Story 64. Vocal fry. Someone eating. Someone scrolling a mouse at work very fast. You know they are not doing anything by moving it that quickly. Story 65. Snoring, the sound of flat shoes scuffing against the floor, microphone feedback, fire alarms. People who do not understand the concept of silence and feel the need to comment on every small observation they make that could be kept to themselves. Screaming children who are loud to get attention. People who make more noise than necessary, such as sighing, moaning, and groaning for much longer than needed. And people who purposely sing loudly and off-key to be funny. Story 66. Unnecessary pen clicking. People who just click repeatedly for no reason drive me up the wall. Story 67. Lawnmowers and leaf blowers are just too loud and completely disrupt any chance of relaxing peacefully outdoors and listening to the sounds of nature. They make me very upset on weekend mornings. Story 68. I really dislike loud, dramatic, excessive yawns. They make me very internally angry. The same goes for loud sighing and loud chewing, which more than likely takes first place. Story 69. High-pitched brass bell ringing and old-fashioned telephone ringers on phones absolutely drive me nuts. Now you know my weakness. Oh, and blowing your nose, just stop and do it in private. Story 70. Tinnitus. I try to always have some background noise so that I do not focus on the constant high-pitched ringing of tinnitus. During the Texas freeze of 2021, my power was out for 3 days. I was living in poverty back then, in a dilapidated trailer. Everything froze, even things like dishwashing liquid. For days, the dogs, cats, and I ate snow for hydration. It was extremely cold. Wearing layers of clothing, I bundled into bed with the dogs and cats. I ended up with frostbite on one finger. The worst thing, though, was my tinnitus. For days, just that incessant ringing in my ears. Maddening. Story 71. In my local supermarket, they have plastic baskets with extendable handles that roll along the floor with you. The problem is they are old, and often the wheels catch, causing the edges of the basket to scrape across the floor. Sounds like nails on a chalkboard. Some people don't notice this and just drag the basket, creating a loud, high-pitched noise. I hate it. Story 72. Hawk a loogie. You know, that unpleasant noise some people make right before they spit? Honestly, spitting in general is gross. Story 73. Dog doors. I hate the sound of them. I tolerate it because they are useful, but the sound drives me crazy. We have had several dogs, and it was an auditory nightmare for me. Story 74. The sound of my mother's voice after waking me up from a deep sleep to start an argument, the sound of people sloppily chewing their nails, and the sound of a full room of people aggressively typing on their keyboards, especially the typing, make me unable to work and want to jump out of my skin. Story 75. My cat grooms herself when she is right next to me, particularly as I try to fall asleep. Have a bath on your own time, Bubba. Thanks a bunch for sticking around till the end of the video. Remember to subscribe, and until next time, stay awesome and goodbye.